Hi everybody, welcome to this practice session on scoping of a WAT topic. In my previous session, I discussed how if you explore, how to scope a given WAT, that will give you plenty of ideas for the main arguments you could be making and make your WAT that much more impactful and impressive, right? In this session, I'm going to help you practice, what we've learned by taking a WAT topic and quickly try to scope it in the first 5 or 10 minutes, right? Before I get into this session, let me tell you briefly about myself. My name is Anand Venkatesan. I'm an educator with Unacademy. I've trained students for almost a decade through a variety of entrance exams like the CAT, GMAT, IFT, NMAT, SNAP, IIM, Indore, CLAT, and many, many others. And I do so because not only do I score 99 percentile in some of these important exams, but I also regularly help train students for the essay writing and personal interview stages. Do follow us on YouTube and Telegram. Those are the handles showing up on your screen. CAT for MBA is the magic word. And with that, quick introduction, let me get into the topic for the day. Well, if you are watching this session live, then I would suggest that obviously there is no live, but if you're watching this for the first time, the moment I will announce the topic, I would ask you guys to pause the video, collect your thoughts, take 20 minutes to write an essay on it, and then come back and watch the rest of this video to understand how you could have probably scoped it and understood the various angles that you could have explored, right? Sounds good? Well, I'm going to continue. So if you're going to write, now is the good time to pause. Well, here's the topic. Uh, as you can see, it's a very simple, relevant topic. It's been almost over 1 year since the abrogation of Articles 370 and 35A of the Constitution. So the topic is, can we call this move? In hindsight, can this be called a successful one or not? That's the topic for you guys. If you want to write an essay, pause it right now, collect your thoughts, take 20 minutes and go ahead and construct an essay. For my part, I'm gonna get into this discussion on this WAT topic. So in the previous session, I talked about how we can plan the WAT, right? First 5 to 7 minutes of your time should go into planning the WAT. So what exactly do you do in the first 5 minutes? Well, first of all, you're going to take a notebook or a sheet of paper and write everything we know about the topic. Well, it's abrogation of 370A and Article 35. Remember, it's not the Citizenship Amendment Act. It's not something else. It's only relating to the state of J&K and the abrogation of these two articles, 370 and 35A. So don't veer off topic. Well, what do we know about it? Well, we know that this happened over a year back. We know that there was plenty of resistance to it. We know that in the times leading up to it, there were plenty of, there was plenty of action on the ground in terms of military presence, in terms of internet being banned, and in fact, very recently, the 4G networks have been opened up. We know that internet connectivity was restored, internet and mobile connectivity was restored, but only gradually so, and 4G services were resumed as late as this month or the last. What else do we know? Well, we also know that there was foreign support for some of these articles insofar as, let's say, the Chinese, China sort of supported politicians who would who wanted to secede from or wanted, at least wanted independent status for the state of J&K. So there's that news that came out. Well, I'm sure there are some of these thoughts that will come to your mind, right? So first you write whatever you know, which is probably current, relevant, or gives you a perspective. Number two, as you're starting to jot the points, you also want to consider how to analyze this given topic. So for the purpose of today's analysis, I'm going to use the PESTLE analysis, the PESTLE framework. I hope you guys remember it, but you could very well choose some other framework like pros and cons or even the SWOT analysis. And number three, right, the objective of doing all of this is to somehow get to your main stance, or what we call as your thesis. Do you believe that this move was a successful one or not? And how would you go ahead supporting your thesis, right? And why? right? And the why will basically be two or three arguments, definitely not more than that. Probably two will suffice, but two major arguments that will support my stance, whether it was successful or not, or maybe it is both, right? So those are the stances you can take. So how do I go ahead doing that? When I'm jotting points, how do I plan the WAT? Well, the pestle framework is a beautiful framework for, scoping the topic very nicely, right? Go back to the topic. It talks about abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, right? Now, what does the pestle framework do? One at a time, right? The pestle framework has these six things that we will analyze with any topic. P stands for political, right? Politics. So let's think about it. Article 370 and 35A was, abrogated. What happens to politics? Well, politicians in the local politicians were first. They were put under house arrest. They were secluded from mingling with population or from even contacting media organizations. We also saw that that once these politicians were secluded, who stands to gain the most in terms of a political environment? Well, there was also news of the political parties. I mean, in terms of who stands to gain, I think it's most of us will believe that it's the right wing BJP which would stand to gain the most, but also that the Gupkar alliance, that stood broken. And we also noticed that the Hurriyat conference, the leader of the Hurriyat conference, was seen to have moved to the state of the country of Pakistan, which means there's a little bit of political gains that were made as far as BJP goes, but also maybe the cover was blown off, the Hurriyat conference, and the mainstream political parties that probably supported the Hurriyat conference and their claims of Azadi, maybe they stood exposed, right? So there's one, political gains and why that happened. So in fact, if you go a little deeper into it, then you'll also remember Shah Faisal and the political party that he launched, and where he stands. Maybe the talks doing the rounds of that the Indian government would like to prop up an alternative to the traditional parties in the state of JNK, and maybe Shah Faisal's party would be one that the government would support, right? So there's that angle on it as well in terms of politics, right? So was it successful or not? I don't think we can, from a political lens, I don't think we can view it as successful or not yet. Okay, let's go to economics, right? One of the main reasons why the article was abolished ostensibly was that many of the benefits that come under the state of union were not being passed on to the people of JNK, right? The point was made that not much development happens there, not many industries have set up base in the state of JNK, and this is inherently not giving employment to people, right, in the state of JNK, right? So has that changed really? Well, again, if you look back at the last year and or so, then not much has happened in terms of economic growth or in terms of even development in that state, because we've heard nothing about new industries being set up, or about entrepreneurial activity or any other kind of activity, whether it's tourism or other industrial or employment related activity happening there. So from an economic lens also, very little seems to have changed. But again, from an economics point of view, maybe if you look at a longer view of it, both from politics and economics, maybe the lens to be used should not be an immediate short term lens, but a longer term lens. And probably from that perspective, you could say that we've sown the seeds for something that will benefit in the future, whether it's from the standpoint of politics, because you've sort of exposed the stance of anti-India forces, specifically ones that were supported from outside by Pakistan and China, and you've also exposed the fact that industry in the state was largely dependent on either the tourism or funding from nefarious elements, and clearly the fact that that nexus has been broken bodes well in the future for at least people finding employment and in important industries setting shop in the state of JNK, right? Okay, third alphabet here is S, stands for social, right? How about society? Has there been any benefit to the society of the state of Jammu and Kashmir? Well, when you talk about social gains, you'll start delving deeper into well, historically speaking, the injustice meted out to Kashmiri Pandits, right? Has that been reversed? Not yet. Article 35A did, abrogation of that does allow, thus change the landowning rights, and so now it's possible for other residents who have lived in the state of JNK for a prolonged period of time to start owning lands, to be eligible for many benefits that come under the state. And so yes, that's a positive change, but has that been implemented, or have we seen any positive outcomes of that? Not really. But from a social point of view, there's also some negatives that you can imagine. For example, how about children in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, right? Well, in a sense, I think if you talk about children, then most of these children were being the victim of propaganda from an early age, and maybe that has stopped now. So one of those social evils have been eradicated. In fact, stone pelting as an activity has completely died down, which means that maybe the anarchism that ruled the state of JNK for the past couple of decades has come to a stop. Yes, so that's a big positive. But at the other end is also the fact that because restrictions still exist, whether it's in terms of the PSA or the UAPA acts. Well, the freedom of the people of Kashmir to express their thoughts and even to assemble has been restricted or curtailed, and that has a role to play on the lives of children and women, because they can't really, without internet services and without with broad curfew still being implemented across many districts, the life hasn't returned back to normalcy, and the people who suffer the most are children who will graduate from school or class 10th board exams very soon. So that's an adverse effect. Talk about technology. Yes, I think it's obvious. Internet connections and still Wi-Fi has 4G services have still were still banned up until late last month or early this month, and so that's technology. Well, I'm not sure if there is anything else insofar as technology goes. But what we can do is that we can say that online learning, which has really kicked off as an entrepreneurial activity in other parts of the nation, probably haven't seen as much of a spurt in the state of JNK, and that's partly to do with the way this article was abrogated. Which brings us to L and E. L stands for legal, E stands for environmental. Well, from a constitutional legal standpoint, has the article been abrogated? Well, the answer to that is actually no. The article hasn't been abrogated or revoked, but it has been modified in a sense, and there has been a way out found, constitutional way of circumventing these articles that has actually happened. But constitutionally or legally speaking, we did talk about curbs still being made on the freedom of expression, freedom of assembly. That is still something that we find curbs upon, and obviously when it comes to environment, there's not much to state, but environment could also be local environment. So the fact that this is a state which has a boundary with Pakistan and also with China means that there's an immediate threat perceived from across the border, and tensions from across the borders have only flared up since the abrogation has happened, both from Pakistan and from China. And in fact, the fact that separatist tendencies have been supported by each of these governments does indeed paint a sordid tale of how tensions with our neighbors could have possibly escalate. And then there is the broad support in the United Nations and other such world bodies, that support has been found. Pakistan has gathered support through their narrative of how freedom has been impinged and how they might not be liable for any future terrorist activity there, which is kind of hinting towards the ISI and the Pakistan interfering, right? So there's that. But the moment you start to explore that aspect, couple of things that should come to mind. One, the US withdrawing troops from Afghanistan means that at one end, you could take it both ways. You could argue that now that the US force is not there, I think ISI and the Taliban would probably focus more on Afghanistan. So that's one argument. But the other argument is that the moment US troops have withdrawn, I think the pressure on Pakistan to continue to continue to safeguard the state of JNK, or at least divert the attention of the Taliban, Pakistan Taliban. I think that might fail. So there's maybe greater risk. But at the other end is also the fact that since we're talking about military misadventures, what has exactly been the state in the state of Jammu and Kashmir? Well, insurgency and the general unrest has come down. I think a lot of coordinate search operations have been performed. You could again look at them from a positive lens that hey, so many terrorists have been killed, so many properties have been destroyed, so much weaponry has been seized. But at the other end is also that in the name of these coordinate search operations, a lot of the life has been disturbed, right? And we're talking about life of the common people living in villages and little states and towns, and still continues to live. They still continue to live in a time of unrest, right? So you can see that these aspects will give you an idea that hey, if I'm trying to argue that at one end my thesis could be that it is successful, and I would do so from probably a military standpoint, and how that control rests in the hand of my government, of our government. There's also an argument from politics and economic gain, which could be future focused, saying there will be gains coming in the long term. In the short term, while there might be some inconsistencies or inconveniences, but in the long term this would all change, right? So that could be a positive spin-off, you could possibly argue. The negative spin-off, you could argue, could be more from a legal standpoint, curb on freedoms, or curb on technology and the after effects, or the positive effects of internet, which the people from the valley still seem to not avail of. And obviously there's the immediate threat from neighboring nations and how that's going to play out, and whether that means that the state of JNK will permanently be in a state of political and military unrest. So those are thoughts that you could use to structure your essay, and the moment your thesis or your stance is defined, you're also automatically shortlisting the two or three big arguments, right? Political argument, are you making an economic argument? So that's the scope that you're restricting. And even within economics, you could restrict it to, is it tourism that you're focusing on? Is it entrepreneurial activity that you're first focusing on? Is it education that you're focusing on, leading to long-term effects on the economic might of that state? So you could again take each of these themes and choose to focus on a particular area within that theme, and that could be your major argument to make, right? Well, I hope that this was an interesting, right, approach that you learnt. I'm going to do this for a bunch of topics in the next day or two. So do keep following this channel. Do watch out for my next videos. Obviously, Unacademy has had great success in the last year. So many learners of ours have indeed done well, and you could also be one of these people if all you need to do is enroll with one of these batches, right? You can see every week we have multiple batches that go live. 3 batches that go live today, some weekdays, some weekends, some focusing on a specific subject. Avail on a discount last few days for a 10% discount. So do rush and take that choice now. Also, contests happen every week. Here's a contest that happens on this Sunday, tomorrow at 5 p.m. You stand to win subscriptions. So I think a golden opportunity. Do check this out. And these are the plans. Remember, the plus subscription is the straightforward one where you learn in batches and you can you can access the content. But Iconic, on the other hand, is as an offering which gives you access to a personal coach besides all the other benefits of a plus subscription. A personal coach not to teach you but to counsel you, to analyze your performance, give you specific tips and guidance to improve your score and your performance in not just the written test but also your personal interview, right? Okay, if you like this session, if you like my perspective, do give me a thumbs up in the chat, do follow, subscribe our channel and click on the bell icon, and keep tabs with us on Telegram as well, right? My name is Anand Venkatesh, and I hope you like this session, and I hope to keep seeing more of you here every day. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys